This is a first for the city, and I think that, and I hope that this becomes a future endeavor that we bring, and I'm sure that the League of Women Voters, as we the citizens, are very happy with the turnout that's happened here tonight. This is a part of what we enjoy in this great country. It's the democracy and the freedoms and the principles that our forefathers gave to us, their progeny. And here we are tonight doing what this country is all about. Without further ado, let me introduce from the League of Women Voters for the Space Coast, Marilyn Collins, who will be giving you an overview of tonight's program and agenda. Marilyn, my pleasure.
On behalf of the League, I'm so excited to see this crowd because the League of Women Voters at the national level was formed for the right to vote. In 1920, women got the right to vote. And to see here that we promote engagement in government. One of our mission statement works to increase understanding of major policy issues and to become engaged with your government. And I can see the city of Cape Canaveral is engaged.
So we're going to begin with opening comments, and Mr.
We have trouble seeing the candidates. Could they stand when they give their answers?
Oh, that's a good idea. They're asking if you'll stand when you give your responses. They can't see you.
They don't have a microphone.
Oh, they won't have the microphone then. Can you pick it up? Mr. Hogue, you are on first.
Good evening. Thanks for coming out. I like this crowd. My name is Bob Hogue. I've been a resident of Cape Canaveral since 1955. I came here as a young lad, and I've seen probably everything there is to see in this growth of this community. I've been active in the city government. I got started, I guess, basically as a firefighter, first responder with the fire department, and became their business agent over a period of about 9 years. And I served 17 years in the fire department, and I ran for city council in 1986 and served till 1989, and got off for a couple of years, served on some boards, wanted to get into all the realms of the city. And then I ran for mayor in 1996, I believe it was. I got defeated, but I come back again in the city council and came back on in 2002. I served on some other boards during the tenure of time when I was off. But I love Cape Canaveral. I've been here all my life. I've seen it grow from nothing to what it is today, and I hope to continue that we get it to grow and serve the citizens well. I love Cape Canaveral. That's all I can say. I don't have much to add to it other than what I told you. I've been here for years, and I love it. Thank you.
Mr. Pestos?
Good evening. Thank you for attending. I'd like to thank the League of Women's Voters and the concerned citizens of Cape Canaveral for hosting this. Great turnout. I'd like to see our council meetings like this. Maybe not quite this. Anyhow, I like to say I'm a pre-Disney resident of Central Florida, and I've been in Cape Canaveral since 1990. Got involved with the Planning and Zoning Board in 1992, served there for a couple of years, served a year as their chairman. Moved on from there to run for mayor or for council, and was on the council from 94 to 1990. I can't remember what year, but anyhow, I did resign to run for mayor, lost that, came back on the next year and ran again, and I've been on the council since then. So I've served a total of 21 years on the council, and I'm dedicated to Cape Canaveral. A lot of people ask me, and I'll tell you later, why I ran for originally I don't want to take up my minute and a half, and I know the timer's already telling me it's getting close. So anyhow, I really like to thank you all for attending, and my website, my email address, and my home phone are all on the brochures, so please feel free to call me with any questions you have. Thank you for attending.
I'm going to please request that the audience hold their applause until all of the candidates have spoken. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Brown.
Good evening. I want to thank the League of Women. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I want to also thank the concerned citizens for Cape Canaveral. My name is Mike Brown, and I'm running for City Council. I'm a retired state trooper. I did 35 years. Also, after I retired, before I was a state trooper, I was a former school teacher. I am passionate about the city of Cape Canaveral. I had traveled all over the state of Florida. I could have picked any city in this state to retire, but I chose the city of Cape Canaveral. I have brought property in this city. That tells you what I feel about this city. Matter of fact, I own 3 properties in the city. I've invested in this city. I want to be here. I'm raising my grandkids. My grandkids live with us. I'm a member of Cape View Elementary Parent-Teacher Organization. I'm a member of Cape View School Advisory Council. I'm a volunteer soccer coach. I'm in this city for the duration. I appreciate your support November 3rd. Thank you. Also, excuse me, I don't want to leave my city. Bayport Condo Association, I am the vice president. Thank you.
Once again, I'll ask that you please hold your applause. Mr. McMillan?
Thank you all for coming out this evening. It's great to see this community involvement that we have here. That's one of my platforms that I have, Progress Together. And without your input, there's no way that we as community potential leaders can lead. You've all probably, or hopefully you've all seen my information. I'm a harbor pilot up at Port Canaveral. I'm heavily involved with the port. I'm past president of the Propeller Club of Port Canaveral, which is an international organization of people that are interested in the maritime community. When I was in that position, we got International Propeller Club of the Year. I became a Propeller Club Member of the Year for our club in Southeast Regional. 10 years in the Navy, in the reserves. I've lived in Cape Canaveral in the area in Cape Canaveral proper for about 20 years. I also own 3 properties as well, but one of them's in Avon by the Sea, so I don't know if that really counts for anything really. And I've traveled all over. I've seen some wonderful communities throughout the world. I see the potential that we can have here in Cape Canaveral, and I want to bring all that experience that I've seen from living and traveling all over the world to Cape Canaveral so we can create a unique and interesting community for our citizens. And I have 15 seconds, so I'll stop now. Thank you.
Mr. Price?
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Price. I'd like to thank everybody for turning out tonight. This is way beyond any expectations that I had, and this is so nice. And like Buzz said, I would like to see people gather at the City Council meetings and at the Planning and Zoning Board meetings. A little bit about myself. Vicki and I bought our first place here in 2000. We became full-time residents in 2005. I became involved with the city as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board about 4 years ago. And I'm currently the active chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board for the city. I also am a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee for the County Transportation Planning Organization. And so I get to see a little bit about what the plans are for our roadways and development and that type of thing. I am a retired college professor. I taught physical sciences for 34 years. Also a small business owner. All that being said, I'm very good at time management and attending to detail. I have a wonderful wife who's standing in the back of the room, four grown children with 6 grandkids, and I am tickled to death that I can have them come to visit me in the city of Cape Canaveral. What a great place to be. Thank you.
Mr. Myself or not? I'll get your name by the end of the evening.
If I can get this out, I'll tell you how to say it. All right. Everybody hear me? How's everyone doing? Great. That's what I was hoping for. When I say hello, Cape Canaveral, you say hi, Josh. Hello, Cape Canaveral. Hi, Josh. Fantastic. I am Joshua Supernaut. I live in Cape Canaveral with my wife, Brenda. She's over there. Please raise your hand and embarrass yourself. Thank you. I moved to the Space Coast in 2001 with my family. It's my parents and my younger brother. I went to BCC. I graduated. I went to UCF. I graduated. That sounds better. I went to UCF. I graduated. I have a BFA in graphic design. Since college, I've worked in a lot of places and in a lot of cities. I'm currently working for myself, and it is great. I am doing web design, print collateral, and a little bit of email marketing. Those things you never click on and delete. Thank you for laughing. So, on top of being a graphic designer, I've been a college professor 3 times, sort of like John here. I've taught at 2 colleges in Florida and 1 in Australia. I want to be a voice in my government, and I think I can bring some creative ideas to this city council table. City council table. I don't own any property. I don't have any kids. I don't have any grandkids, obviously, if I don't have any kids. I live in my parents' house, and I pay them rent, and I take care of it, and I love Cape Canaveral. I hope you keep an open mind and give me a chance to bring some positive change. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Mr. Willis.
My name is Don Willis, and this is probably the furthest left of any position I've ever been on.
You're on the right side.
Good, I'm on the right side. I've lived in Cape Canaveral since 2011, so I'm probably the most junior member of the city and running for city council. But my wife and I moved here, and we immediately fell in love with the place. We love it. We have family close by. We could have lived anywhere. We came here and just decided this was what was home for us. We loved it. We wanted to be near the beach, and we love the community, and I want to see it succeed. I'm a small business owner. I own a small software development company based in North Carolina, and I can work from anywhere, so right here is it. My background is over 30 years working with international and national companies. I have clients all over the world, and my forte is solving problems. And I want to see the problems of Cape Canaveral solved. I want to bring energy to it. I want to bring passion to it, and go out and let's grow this community. Let's make it what we want it as residents and not a tourist attraction necessarily. But we need things here that we need and not, okay, I got it. All right. 15 seconds. My father's a minister, so, you know, clock doesn't mean anything to me. So, but I look forward to talking to you as a community and as citizens, and if there's anything we can do for you, please call us. Got it?
Thank you, Mr. Willis. And my father's a deacon, so, okay. Now we're going to go ahead with the prepared questions that each candidate has had an opportunity to review in advance. And we're going to start our order a little different this time. The first question is going to start with Mr. Petzos, and then we're going to move around the table this way, ending with Mr. Hogue. Okay? So the first question, 1.5 minute response time, is what is the most pressing issue for the city? And in addition, what issue is not getting enough attention? 1.5 minutes.
I think the most pressing issue for our city is the redevelopment of A1A. There's been a lot of talk on what we should and shouldn't do. There's been a lot that the council's worked on to enhance A1A, to get the proper zoning areas and overlay districts so that we have a CRA, Community Redevelopment Agency, in that area, and also be able to enhance businesses to come into the area. With that said, we do have a new hotel now. We do have a couple others on the planning of different businesses that we're not at liberty to tell people yet, but I think you're going to see some good, solid, quality development in our community that'll enhance A1A, start taking some of these empty storefronts or the dilapidated areas of A1A and improving it quite a bit. The second part of that question was, what can we do better?
What issue is not getting enough attention?
I'm going to go back to A1A again and say we're not getting enough attention from FDOT. So you guys need to call your state legislatures and tell them to get FDOT to start doing their job. They do nothing for us. We've had a study in the 90s for FDOT for enhancements. We've done another study this past year, which hopefully it's not going to be a study that sits on a shelf. We as a citizenry, and you're all here today, you need to get on your legislatures and let's get FDOT to go improve our road and reduce that speed limit from 45 to 35. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Brown.
Well, I agree with Mr. Petzos. We don't need to make Cape Canaveral bigger, we need to make it better. A1A is one of the major concerns. I can't understand why. I will go out there and paint some of these buildings myself. I have no problem with doing that. This city, I've talked to my neighbors, I've talked to people around the city. We'll get together and we'll do it ourselves. A1A hasn't changed that much from what I noticed when I moved here in 2005. I see all these other cities, Rockledge, they've done US 1, they've done Barton Boulevard. Why can't Cape Canaveral get their A1A expedited? I work for the Florida Highway Patrol. I'm in close concert with FDOT. I know those people down there. If I got to go on their doorstep, wake them up in the middle of the night, we've got to get something done with Cape Canaveral. I don't have time. I'm 60 years old. I can't wait another 10 years to see the same. I don't know how many more years I have left, but that is the most pressing issue. And the second issue, that's the one that needs the most attention. As long as I'm your city council, believe me, that's number one on the agenda. Redoing A1A. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, please hold your applause. Next question, Mr. McMillan.
I see how this is working. The most pressing issue for me is our city has a pulse, but it has no heart. We need a town center. A1A is great, but that's an artery. That's an artery that can feed into our heart. Our city is missing a town center. We need a place where we can have a sense of community, where everybody can gather together in the evening, a safe place for pedestrians, a safe place for our kids, and a safe place for retired people to hang out either in the morning or in the evening. One of the places is right here outside our front door where we have our Friday Fest and everything else. One of the things that I believe, or the main thing that I believe is being ignored, is the big elephant hanging around here, which is Port Canaveral. I'm intimately involved with Port Canaveral. I know everybody up at Port Canaveral, and they all know me. And they are going to be investing about $800 million potentially here in the next 10 years. Do you think that's going to affect us? Just a little bit, okay? I have my finger on the pulse up there, and we need to work together as a community, and I need to hear from you guys what you want our community to be. My vision right now is to have a heart and have a town center. So let's work together to get all that stuff to happen so we can have a town center and have a heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Price.
Well, the most pressing issue is a combination of what everybody's had to say this evening. I think the city has a very poignant vision statement posted on their website. And the vision statement includes redevelopment. It includes improvement of the A1A corridor. It includes pedways and bikeways. It includes improving our residential areas. It includes having a community where people can meet and relax. All those things. And to me, that's the pressing issue. We as a city council need to support and work toward the vision that's been established for the city. And I think that's what I'm good at. Things that have been ignored, I have to agree. FDOT has really been kind of a thorn in my side being on the Transportation Planning Organization, the Citizens Advisory Committee there, I get to see that the North Beaches area, which is what we're considered to be, we're kind of treated like the redheaded stepchild. And it's embarrassing. And I think that we need to become more forceful in terms of making people aware of who we are and what it is we need to be a really viable community.
Thank you. Especially appreciate all of you staying on time. You're super not.
Hello. So, this is great. I like all of the things I'm hearing. I think these people all have the fingers on the pulse of all their places. I don't have those connections, but I want a community also. I want a place where neighbors know neighbors and neighbors help neighbors, whether they know each other or they're brand new to the area and they're strangers and they need help hanging curtains. That's the kind of place that this needs to be. It's such a small area, and to have people not know everybody, it's kind of a bummer to me. The Friday Fest, it happens. It isn't packed. It could be packed. Food truck event could be packed. Movie in the park could be packed, and I know some of the people in here attend those, and I've seen them there. But we need more people there. We need these things to continue to happen, and to continue to happen, we need more people. A1A is an issue. All right? I ride my bike up and down it every day. I understand. It's like ranger danger, okay? I think that if we had a better community, the crime would go down. I think drug use would be less of an issue. I think that, you know, in a community where people care, people work together. And that's what I'd like to see. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Willis.
I think the area that I see needs most attention is the fact of a city center. We can easily, not necessarily easily, but we need to focus on what we can take advantage of in cooperation with the port. Any through passes on the streets there. We could build a new city center. The issue that I see least attended to is A1A. Agree with everyone else. FDOT has got to help us out here. We've got to bring down that speed limit. We've got to create a more bikeable pedestrian A1A and to revitalize it. I mean, all of us are going to pretty much agree on a lot of things here tonight. I think the real differentiator is going to be who's going to have passion, who's going to have the will, and who's willing to just keep knocking on doors and not taking no for an answer. We've just got to keep working. We've got to keep pushing forward with it and not just let anything pass us by. We've got to keep going.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go to our second question. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Ho. Thank you.
Microphone cable got short for some reason. Got a wrap around your foot or something? Gotta pull it over. Anyway, the question I think was basically answered the way I would answer it anyway. But my main goal is to see a walkable, bikeable community and get the town center up and running, which I personally took a real interest in that to get it to a visioning and pushed our city manager probably to. He just didn't want to look at me anymore. But I think the town center is the answer to a lot of our problems in the city. There's no place for people to go enjoy themselves and to meet your neighbor and greet your neighbors. And the visioning was created out of bringing that town center idea into the city, which would create mixed use, your commercial on the bottom, second story living area. But the A1A factor falls into the visioning community, which everybody up on this board is very well. It needs a lot of help, more so than what we probably mentioned tonight. But I can't see the DOT people getting off their duffs very quick, because I think the city's been trying for years and years to get just things like turning signals, crosswalks, and you can see what we get after many years of trying. We get nothing. Our mayor has been on that DOT for years, and he's punched away. I've watched him many times, and I've watched the movies. I've watched him. I listen to what he says, but it's not that it can't be done. It's just that DOT won't do it. So we'll keep going. My time's up, and thank you very much.
Question number 2 for all of the candidates, and we will begin with, begin with Mr. Brown this time, and the question is, what are your top 3 priorities for improving the city?
Well, back to the A1A issue, that is definitely the top priority for me for improving our city. That is a staple mark of our city. When people pass through our city, we are labeled by A1A. You pass through it, you think of this is what your city is. A lot of people don't go to Ridgewood and see all the other places. They see A1A. So my top priority would be first to take care of A1A. And like I said once before, I worked for Florida Highway Patrol, retired state trooper. Highways, DOT is my life. I have met those people. I have sat down with those people. I'm not to say that the administration hasn't done a good job. I will be at their doorsteps. I know them. I will be there. I'll see what I can do. Hopefully I can put a little bit more pep in their step, and I'm hoping I can. Second, environment. We are the beaches. Beaches. When my wife and I go to the beach, our job is when we leave that beach, we leave it cleaner than what we found it. We make sure our kids make sure they clean up. That is Cape Canaveral. We have the beaches, we have A1A, we're caught between 2 cities, Cocoa Beach, and we're caught between the port. We are our own entity. Cape Canaveral is our own entity. I want to make sure it stays that way. When we moved to Cape Canaveral, we moved here because we like Cape Canaveral as it is. We didn't move here because we want it larger. We want to make it better. She's holding her sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan,
Okay.
yes?
I kind of see the pattern working. Again, the 3 top priorities for me are community and town center, which everybody's discussing. But one thing I do hear a lot of, if everybody is focusing on A1A. A1A is not going to be our town center. There's no way. It's a 4-lane highway. There's no way you're going to sit have a nice drink sitting alongside a highway watching cars go by at 35, even 35 miles an hour. It's going to be too loud. It's a highway. We need a town center off of A1A where it's pedestrian friendly and safe for our kids to run around. So we need a community center and we need it off of A1A. A1A needs to can be a little bit prettier, but it's never going to be pretty. It's a highway. That's just the nature of highways. The second point is we need to progress with all of our neighbors. Most of our neighbors that we have, obviously, again, the port, a big neighbor, lots of investment going on up there. We need to work with the port and figure out how and prepare for how is that going to affect our community. And I have the connections up there in order to make that happen. And the third thing we need to do is we need to do this together. Okay, I don't have all of the answers. These are some of the visions I have right now. This has been a very fast learning process for me and probably for the rest of the city council people. So we need to do this together. We need to do it as a community. And one of the things I'm going to do is community outreach with you, such as coffee chats, maybe once a month to get your input.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. And Mr. Price.
Okay, the top 3 priorities for improving the city of Cape Canaveral. We all have a lot of the same visions here, and they're great visions. And I got to tell you, the city council has been a great city council, and the idea is to carry on the good work that's being done. That being said, one of the things that I'm really in favor of is community redevelopment. What I'm interested in is renovation and rebuilding of the blighted areas in our neighborhoods. Trying to build those up, make our neighborhoods better, make them safer, make them lighted, have sidewalks and pedways and that type of thing in our neighborhoods. Economic redevelopment for the city of Cape Canaveral. We're pretty much built out. This is a city that's bound on the east and west by water, north and south by other municipalities, and so we're pretty much built out. So we have to talk about redevelopment. Bringing businesses in and having businesses help us improve our economic standing. This is a community, I think, that would be supported well by professional businesses, businesses that would support the space industry, the cruise industry, and the cargo industry, as well as professions like doctors and lawyers and dentists and those types of things. Those are the businesses that I think we can benefit from in this city. And then the one last thing, and I'll make this brief, I promise, is code enforcement. We have a wonderful code enforcement board, and they do a great job, but they're limited in numbers. One of the things that I would like to see if I make it to the city of Cape Canaveral, whatever I'm running for, is I'd like to improve or increase the number of people on the code enforcement board so that we could do they could be more efficient at the job that they're supposed to do.
Thank you. Super Not.
Thank you, John. Very inspiring. So, beautification, huge issue. I think businesses on A1A or not on A1A need to be held to a higher level of responsibility when it comes to their painting and their landscaping. I think that when they look like slum and blight, it not only reflects on their business, but it reflects on Cape Canaveral. You've heard that several times now. Bikeable, walkable, outdoor-centered community. Picnics in the park. I would love to go kayaking if I had a kayak. These kind of things are what needs to happen in this area. I mean, I don't have a car. I share one with my wife, and I enjoy not having a car. I don't want to drive a car because I get exercise just moving around because the body in motion stays in motion. I would love a community like that. All right? We all have our limits. I understand that we are in very different age range community, but we should still have fun together. All right? We should laugh together. We should enjoy spending time together, and just be one. And my last, I'm going to look down on my notes, and most importantly, the environment. Now, we do need to take care of our home. If we do not, we will not have one. We all know that this place is going to grow from both ends, from the middle. It's growing everywhere. I haven't had a single resident tell me they want a city center. I'm not saying I don't. I'm not saying anybody in this room doesn't. I haven't met with all of you. But what I'm hearing is community. We want to be able to talk to each other. We want less drugs. We want less crime. We want to work together. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Willis, a minute and a half, sir.
It takes me that long to get up. Body in motion, clearly spoken by someone who's not over 40. So. We all are agreeing on a lot of the same things. We want a revitalized A1A. We want safety issues addressed. We want environmental issues addressed. We want a city center. But we need to do all of these things in a framework with a clear foundation that impacts all of us. The environment is an impact. Whatever we do will have some environmental impact. Whatever we do will have some safety issue. Whatever we do will impact how we live, how we interact, and how we become communities, how we are neighbors, and how we treat each other. So we have to bear all these things in mind, whatever it is we do. But my three issues, like I said, revitalizing A1A, the businesses, the new city center. I think we can achieve that off A1A between us and the port. Utilize what the port wants to do by extending streets over to Cape Canaveral, and let's see what we can build there. And safety. Again, I want to see people able to move about or across A1A without having to run or dodge cars or we've had too many fatalities in Cape Canaveral. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hogue.
My top three priorities are in the city are basically what everybody said, but one issue hasn't been touched on yet, and I intend to touch on it. If I do get back into this seat up here, it's going to be one of my priorities is to get the stormwater out of that river. That's something I've been working on, kind of behind closed doors with certain people, and I look at putting the stormwater out of the river if we can get it by doing baffle boxes in the road. We've done a couple improvements on some flooding on different areas where I went and talked to people, that some flooding engineers that were out of Baltimore, Maryland, that give us an idea. We eliminated a lot of flooding down there. My biggest interest is the infrastructure of the city, which a lot of it is failing at the moment because it's 55, 60, 62 years old, whatever. But I want to get the stormwater out of that river. Hopefully, if I can get back up here, that's what going to be my top priority. The second priority is the redevelopment of a town, or the redevelopment of the area. Hopefully the town center, we program to basically not go on A1A, but on Central Avenue and in that area where that trailer park exists and across the street. So the town center is one of my big things that I push for hard, and I see 15 seconds, but stormwater is my biggest issue.
Thank you, Mr. Petzos.
Going last stinks. Everybody's pretty much said everything that, you know, I support up here. Some of the other things, though, they talked about safe crosswalks. That's one of the biggest priorities we need here. We've been working with FDOT, and we believe we have a couple of crosswalks that they're going to put us in midsection of the blocks with a blinking light, which turn red to get people to stop. So we're working that issue. That is one of my priorities. Steve Christofoli, House Speaker, knows of that. He is our representative. Please call him on that issue. I did work with him for a green turn arrow on A1A going into Center, if you're going west on Center, and he did help us, and we did get that. So we can, Central, yes, sorry, not Center. And we did get that. He's willing to work with us. He just needs some voices out there saying, yeah, we do support it. Secondly, walkable, bikeable community. We're on our way there. We're not far enough yet. We need to get there. And the third is the town center that people talk about. There's a few different visions of where it should go. I believe that we do need to work with the port. We have a lot of north land up there near the port that is vacant. It's near our volunteer fire department there. It's a natural road from there to Central Avenue. Put it up there. I believe we can help with the Cove project. They won't come to us, but if it's there and we build our way, I think we can make that doable. Thank you. I see a stop time.
Thank you once again, candidates, for following the rules. Really appreciate it. Question number 3 will begin with Mr. McMillan. And we'd like to know why you are running and how you will make a difference in our community.
Well, I started this whole process several months ago. I was going to get involved with the city. Like everybody probably knows, I told them I've been heavily involved with the port, and I was going to get involved with my community here and volunteer for a board. Well, then this opened up, and I was like, okay, wow, let's put my hat in the ring and see what happens. I think I had the leadership in order to make that happen, and I just wanted to see if everybody agreed with me. What was your second question? I'm sorry.
How will you make a difference?
The way I'm going to make a difference is with your help. Because doing this community outreach and getting your input and helping me with the vision that we all have the vision, but unless we get the ideas from you, we can't think of it all. We need the ideas from you, and that's why I want to do the community outreach and get it with you guys. So that's how I plan on doing this with your help.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
Why am I running for city council here in the city of Cape Canaveral? That's a wonderful question, and one that I ask myself every day. The reality is that I love the city. We moved here a little over 10 years ago, and I've never looked back. I think the city offers everything that my wife and I want. And I enjoy being an active part of the city. Being on the Planning and Zoning Board has given me a lot of insights, and there's a lot of things that I think that I can continue to help with the city. And it's just a great place to be. How can I make a difference? I think I'm making a difference now. I'm involved in the city. I talk to people. I find out what's on your mind. And I bring those issues, not necessarily to meetings all the time, but we talk about them. And it's important that you have an ear that you can talk to, and that's who I am. I am I'm just excited about the opportunity to serve this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Supranat?
32 tomorrow, Don. Happy birthday to me. Thank you. Long story short, my wife's getting a master's in urban planning, and I read her homework. And I'm got really scared about the future of the world. And I started coming to city council meetings, and I didn't really feel like my future was represented. And I didn't think that if we had kids, their future was represented. And I thought, you know what, I should try and do something about it. So 2 spots came open, and I've been standing on the side of the street since, trying to get everyone's attention to let them see that this is me, and I just really want to help this place. I think I can bring a fresh perspective, some new ideas. I got a background as a graphic designer. It's problem solving, start to finish. You know, meeting with clients, understanding their needs, and making them, you know, website, business card, logo, whatever they want. I don't see any difference in city council. You listen to the people, and you do your best you can to make everybody happy and do the best thing for the city. Because the city is really what's number one. I mean, we're not going to be here forever, but the city will. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Willis.
59 the day after that. And I'll show you pictures of my grandbabies. I've got extensive business experience. My wife has always asked me, why do you want to run for city council? And I think I can bring that experience to bear and help the city. We have plans, we have visions. They're good plans, they're good visions. But they need to be organic, they need to be dynamic, because everything around us changes. So we can't have our feet in the cement of a document. We have to be able to adapt it, we have to be able to move on. We have to have the energy, we have to have the passion, we have to have the drive to go get it, to go get what we want for the city. We have to work for it. What's the other part of that question? I threw myself on 59, so.
How will you make a difference?
I'll bring that energy. I'll bring the passion. I'll bring my experience in working with multinational, national companies, local entities to solve our issues and go forward.
Thank you. Mr. Hogue?
The question was, why am I running?
Why are you running, and how will you make a difference?
Okay, I'm not finished yet, that's why I'm running. I got a lot on my mind with this town and what I want to do with it. I mentioned my stormwater projects to you. That's my main thing right now. That's why I'm running. I want to see that get done. I don't know how long it'll take. It might take longer than me being here for 10 years, 5 years, or whatever, but hopefully I'm here to push that again, because I've been pushing it and there's some ears been listening. So another thing, how can I make a difference?
How will you make a difference?
How can I make a difference? I don't know. I just keep pushing like all the rest of these guys. There's nothing up here that we don't do as one person. It takes working together. Otherwise, you'll never get there. If you're always on the outs with everybody, we all got along. I don't know anybody on the council. Shannon served with us. We all got along. We did things. We got things going. That's how we are where we're today. I've seen it where we weren't even anyway near what we're here today with. Working together, we'll get there. And that's why I'm running, because I'm not through yet. I got more to do yet.
Thank you. Mr. Petzels?
Why am I running? I'm running to better our city. We're in the right direction. We've been in the right direction. I feel proud of from when I first started, and when I moved into the city, I went to City Hall and talked to the building department and asked them what their vision of the city was. And that there really wasn't a true vision. I didn't want to see the people that sleep in cars like it happened in a lot of the presidential areas. I wanted to see the area cleaned up. I wanted to see a lot of the dilapidated homes removed. A lot of that's starting to happen. A lot of it started to fall apart with the drop in the market here in the early 2000s. Starting to come back again. You're going to see the redevelopment of the presidential areas. That's why I'm running, to see that redevelopment, to continue on the stormwater. We've done a lot of stormwater projects. We have a lot of baffle boxes in here. I want to continue to see that happen. Biggest reason I ran originally, and my daughter's in the room somewhere, I ran because I wanted to have a good community for her, and that when she was old enough to decide where she wanted to live, she wanted to come back to Cape Canaveral. Well, she went to Tampa. She spent 5 years over there through South Florida for 3 years, graduated, worked for Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, and last year she called and she said, "Dad, I want to move home." So I think we're on the right track. We just need to continue that and better our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Okay, why am I running? For 35 years, I've served the public. I've served the citizens of this state. I want to continue that. I chose to be a state trooper not because it was a high-paying job, because I wanted to work with the citizens of the state of Florida. I'm going to continue to work with the citizens of the state of Florida and the citizens of Cape Canaveral if I get the city council position. I was a shift commander, a watch commander. I was in charge of a 7-county area in central Florida. I worked the highway patrol 35 years. During that 35 years, I never received a complaint from the public. I know how to get middle ground. I know how to talk to people. That's what I'm going to do. Everybody's issue that come before me is important because they brought it up. It's important. I will be there. I'm the only one on this board. I'm retired. I have time for you. I have time to address all the issues you bring before me. I look forward to November 3rd. I look forward to your support.
Thank you. That will conclude our prepared questions for this evening. I'm moving on now to the questions that the audience has proposed for you. So the first one, gas stations. Why are we drafting an old something, I can't read the word, that would allow the external 9 service stations to expand up to 10 service pump stations or more? And that will begin with Mr. Price. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yes, Mr. Price. Did you understand the question? I can't read the writing very well.
Repeat it one more time?
Well, I guess they're asking about why would we want to expand to 9 or more gas stations in Cape Canaveral?
Well, the question, as I understand it, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, is why do we want to entertain the idea of bringing additional gas stations into the city of Cape Canaveral? I agree, city of Cape Canaveral is small. We're less than 2 square miles big. We have a fair number of gas stations now. And I'm not in favor of more gas stations, I'm in favor of better gas stations. And my belief is that if we bring in newer gas stations that offer more services, and they're managed well, and they're maintained, and they're not run down, and they're not dilapidated, that business will be drawn to those places, and some of the older, some of the more run down, some of the less kept gas stations will disappear. The city will only support a certain number of gas stations, a certain number of pizza parlors, a certain number of restaurants. So the ones that survive are the ones that make an impression. And what we're trying to do here at the city is bring in gas stations that make an impression and are not eyesores.
Thank you. Mr. Supranato.
Couple of things. That was good. Everything John said, I think was great. As far as I understood tomorrow's ordinance, it was going to take gas stations, as far as I understand it, as just a person going to the meeting. It was going to make gas stations instead of C1, M1, which pushed the availability of land for a gas station up to the jetty. And I plan on being here tomorrow, and I plan on hearing what everyone that comes like this has to say. So as far as I understood it, there wouldn't be any more gas stations in Cape Canaveral, all right? Slim to none, chance, very impossible, especially in this area. Now, I agree, better gas stations would be great. I live within a football field of a really run-down one, and it smells, and when it fills up in the morning, I go out there on my bicycle, that's all I smell, all right? Now, I understand that comes with good gas stations too, but it would be nice to have better things, to put things that shouldn't be there kind of to bed, okay? I fill up at a couple of gas stations here in town when I'm in the car. I go to the same one. It's well lit, it's safe, the price is great, you know, and there's reasons I don't go to the ones that are run down. Do we need more? No. We need better. So, that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Willis?
I'm sure Mr. Hogue and Mr. Petzos can add a lot more to the particulars of that, but frankly, I don't want another gas station. We can have better gas stations and we can restrict where they are. But when we have those, we're going to end up with vacant gas stations. We're going to have to clean up after businesses that have gone out of business. There's going to be tanks that have to be exhumed. There's going to have to be all kinds of dirt that's going to have to be cleaned, it's going to have to go somewhere. We're going to have to clean up after the gas station that goes out of business. So we need to consider in that framework that I mentioned earlier of what is the impact, what is the total end game on what we're doing. If we run a gas station out of business, that doesn't remove the problem. It only shifts it somewhere else. Thank you.
Mr. Hogue?
My comment is on the gas stations are, we have 9 operating ones. And first of all, we have 2 council members or 3 council members here, so I'm not going to tell you how to vote. You can just surmise from what I tell you. Because we don't discuss this sort of thing with other people present. But we got 9 stations. We're giving them the opportunity not to move it to the jetties, but just to the end of Central Avenue, or North Atlantic Avenue and George King is basically where that new station would go, between there and right at the road comes out of the firehouse. That would be probably where it could go if that ordinance passes. The ordinance also allows all the gas stations that are in play to stay, but they could go to 10 pumping stations. So your gas stations that only have 4 pumps would have 10 cars sitting there pumping gas out of 5 stands or whatever. But I'm at the point where we don't need any more gas stations. So I look at all that does is give us an opportunity to add another gas station. And the gas stations that are here, 7-Elevens, Shell, BP just turned over a nice big investment, and I don't think they're going to be going anywhere. You might close up one.
Thank you. Mr. Petzels?
Yeah, the ordinance that's going to be before us tomorrow night was caused because of the citizens in this room. They came and asked us to put an ordinance together to limit the amount of gas stations. I took that a little bit more forward and went to our attorneys and our planning department. And what it is it does not allow a gas station within 2,000 feet of another gas station, thereby eliminating any areas on I-1A that will get a new gas station anywhere. It redevelop the ones that are there. We're going to grandfather the ones that are there in so that hopefully they can come in and redevelop in those areas. As was mentioned, the only places for gas stations will be up on the north end abutting the port area. And personally, I don't believe anybody will build up there because it's not on the main thoroughfare, so I don't believe we'll have that. I, again, also can't say how I'm going to vote tomorrow, but I don't support any more gas stations in this city.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I'm very adamant. I believe in no more gas stations for the city of Cape Canaveral. And I'll always vote that way. No more gas stations. They need to clean up some of the ones they have. Some of the ones we have, as a retired state trooper, I won't go to at night. Sometime I carry, but I will not go to some of these gas stations. Support me. No more gas stations for the city of Cape Canaveral.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan?
I've probably pumped more gas than anybody or everybody in this room combined. I've worked in the shipping industry for several years. The petroleum industry is not pretty. Gas stations, we don't need any more. I don't want any more. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is concerning the green space. What is your view concerning preserving the existing green space in our city? Price. Mr. Supernaut. Thank you.
Kind of touched on this one earlier. I mean, I'm all about the green space. I want to spend all my time outside. I wish I had a way to work outside. I think the ones that are already existing need to be taken care of. They need to be, I don't know if they need to be redeveloped, but they just need to be cleaned up. There is a lack of that kind of support in the city. I mean, there could be more people to take care of the stuff that already exists. Bob mentioned infrastructure. I mean, that kind of stuff could be improved. I think that there's trees that need to be trimmed. I think there's playground equipment that needs to be cleaned up. I live near Patriot Park over there by the Mobile. It's scary, all right? It is. I'm the only one that's ever in it, which kind of worries me. I just go there to relax and to get away from the computer. So I think green space is very important. I would like to see more of them. And I know that if a city community area does get built, there will be a cool space to hang out and have picnics and do all that fun stuff. I would love to have one I don't have to drive to. I mean, I have Patriot Park, I can bike to the other ones, but walking distance to something bigger would be great. So that is my thought on green space. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Willis.
Well, I'd like to see us consider green space with any development we do. There's always opportunities on the outskirts of any project where we could add some kind of walking trail or green space or utilize different use for the land that's there. There's lots of vacant buildings, vacant lots that we could consider if it benefits the neighborhood. Let's increase those green space uses.
Thank you. Mr. Hope?
Green space can mean a lot. If we're talking about new construction with green space, yes, green space is great, make it all we can get. Green space that's existing in parks, I'm all for that. We have some of the most beautiful parks in Brevard County, in my opinion. There's never been to Manatee Park. You're missing something that you won't believe. But anyway, green space to me is very important in this city. I've always defended green space. I've always defended the property rights of green space. And if it fits, we'll work with it. And I think green space is something that this city really would relish on having more. But trying to get more costs money. Sometimes we can get grants, but a lot of times we can make it happen. It don't seem possible, but it'll happen. But green space is important to me. It's part of our environment. If we don't have green, we don't breathe. So I'm all for green space. Animals just got a right to live like we do. We got to protect the turtles that we have in the city. We got a lot of gopher turtles in the city. I see them every day when I'm out driving around. There's a lot of environment factors that we have to keep in mind when we have construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Petzos.
I think the original question was conserving green space. If conserving green space means conserving our parks that we have, yeah, I think everybody out here better be all for that. Not only do I want to conserve them, I'd sure like to see if we could get some more in the city. Land values here are unfortunately a little high for us to do it, but with some of the derelict buildings that we have, there's ways if they build up enough fines, we may be able to go after them and take those buildings over and maybe turn them into parkland. We recently increased the height on A1A so that there is more green space with the developments going on A1A. So we're actively doing a part of trying to conserve additional green space that would have gotten paved over in the community. Anybody that has some suggestions, please let us know. Grants are out there, far and few between, but they're available. We just need to find them. If you have a grant writer out here, man, raise your hand because we'd love to use your services. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
I am also in favor of green space. I live right behind, near one of the most beautiful parks in the city, Cape Canaveral, Manatee Park. My wife and I travel there often. We definitely need some grant writers. There's no reason why we should not be able to get more parks, more green space. We have a beautiful city. A city is judged a lot by how much green space they have. We've got a beautiful city. We need to keep it that way. I'm all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan.
So Mr. Brown's kids and my kids play soccer over just north of Manatee, whatever the park is, north of Manatee Park. I always call it Manatee Park. Why, when they design a soccer field, do they not put trees for shade? I don't get it. I have to bring an umbrella, and it's very hot out there. I'm all for planting more trees. I'd like to plant some trees out there, so when you're out there watching your kids play soccer, you can be in the shade. And other places around here. One of the things on my flyer that I passed around is a community garden. Open for everybody, not just the people that participate. A perfect place for that is right here by the library. We can do a community garden. I've seen it done in several other cities around the world. We just spent some time up in Quebec this summer, and they had community garden pots. It was just a little pot all around the city with edible plants in it, and anybody could pick whatever they wanted. and the city sponsored a community garden. That part of it was for the city and the chef that cooks for the mayor, I guess, and the rest of it was for anybody who wanted to come along and pick those vegetables. So that's one of the things I'd really like to see is a community garden, to create a sense of space, to create a community where we can all gather together. So obviously everybody's for green space, but this is how we can do it. Some small steps we can do to create that community and that green space, whether it's a pot or a big community garden.
Thank you. Mr. Price.
Well, the original question was, how can we preserve green space? We have precious little. What we have is very nice. I agree with Brendan. We really need to have more trees. It's some of these places get really hot, and I think Manatee Park is one of them. And so I would like to see improvement of the green spaces that we have. I would also like to see development of new green space, absolutely. And it doesn't necessarily mean a park, but it means having gathering places. It could be just a little picnic area. It could be benches by the river. It could be whatever. And I don't think a lot of these things would cost a lot of money and necessarily take a lot of resource. But we need to be active in that. And certainly anything that anybody would have to say about that, I know that the City Council would be willing to listen. And one of the things that I know about the City Council is that they are very interested in making this a better community for you. And I want to be part of that.
Thank you. Next question is about the port. We'll go to Mr. Willis first. How should Cape Canaveral relate to the developing Port Canaveral? Should we encourage development of hotels, restaurants, and attractions for people sailing, or should we be a residential buffer to contain development at the port?
The last shall be first. I think we need to be cognizant of everything that the port is working towards. We've got to be integrally involved because whatever it is they do is going to impact us. We do have the Economic Development Overlay District, which we can develop towards those purposes. But I think for the majority from people I've talked to, the majority of the people in Cape Canaveral want it to be a residential area. But we do have those areas where we can create that city center, we can create new spaces for hotels, improve our tax base, but we have to work hand in hand with the port on that. So we have to know at the same time that they are making a decision what that decision is going to be so that we can not just react to it, but be proactive in what we are going to do.
Thank you. Mr. Hogue.
Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral has probably the largest impact that I've ever seen of somebody impacting another community. You know, I've heard over the years that Rajan impacted Cocoa Beach. Well, that wasn't anything like the port impacts Cape Canaveral. We've worked very hard as a council, as John said, John Price said. We put the CRA area together mainly because we knew what was coming from our northern brothers up there in the Port Canaveral area. Yes, I'd like to see Cape Canaveral the way it was 50 years ago. We didn't have all this going on. We had a quiet, sleepy little fishing village here and very few people. But today, somebody kicked a sleeping dog up the street here. We gotta deal with it. So we've dealt with it, I think, the best we can in the way that we're allowed by law to deal with. And the impact that they will make on us will be only on the A1A area and in the north area that's undeveloped. Our areas that are bedroom communities are on the beach side, residential streets, all kind of east of A1A, and then we have the area on the west side. Those people are buffered by beautiful parks, so that probably don't impact them as bad, but the areas that we're talking about is A1A. That will impact A1A very bad. We'll see probably a lot more development out there, but we'll have to just work the best we can to make it work.
Thank you. Mr. Petzels?
Our staff has a very active dialogue open with the port on all their activities, so we are appraised of what's going on up there all the time. We do need to work with the port. I know the port's the big gorilla in the room, or elephant, or whatever description you want to use, but a lot of us don't like it, but we need to work with it. They've overtaken the whole community in their growth. We need to make sure it's planned growth that will fit in with our community. Our economic overlay district and our community redevelopment agencies, we've set them up to make sure that that growth does not impact our community as much as possible in the A1A area, but it does not affect us, period, in the residential area. I'm not for encroaching in any of the residential areas for any commercial development in this community.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Okay, we need to use the port, but not let the port use us. I'm all in favor. I moved to the city because I like the small town feel. How has the port affected me and the growth? I used to be able to see the Disney ships from my second story of my house. I can't see them right now because a hotel was built 6 stories high. Like I said once before, we need to use the port, not the port use us. I know we have to work in unison, but let's let Cape Canaveral control our destiny, not the port. Thank you.
Mr. McMillan?
Wow. I wish I had a couple more minutes than a minute and a half. But the port is growing, like I said. They're going to be investing potentially $800 million in the next 10 years. Brevard County is projected to grow 20% in the next 20 years, so that's 1% a year. That's going to impact us significantly. How do we want to proceed with that? Okay. We heard from one of the other people that we need to know exactly what's going on when it happens, not wait till it comes in the newspaper and go, oh my gosh, these people made all these decisions already. I'm in that. I go to the Port Commission meetings. I know those people. I speak with them on a regular basis. I can be involved with that and help protect our community. I don't want to live in a Fort Lauderdale. I don't want to live in a Miami. I want to keep my small town beach community feel. And in order to do that, we need to know what's coming down the pike. The jobs that are coming into the port, they're going to be cargo jobs that they're really working hard for. Those jobs pay between $35,000 to $75,000 a year, which just came out in the latest Port magazine. Okay, a lot of those people, I'd like to see some of those people move in here. Those are good paying jobs that creates a stable tax base for our community. Those are people we need to attract here, and we can do that if we create a place that they want to come to, be it a community center or a town center where we can attract people to come, and we can have some maybe mixed use commercial and residential up top. Not through the entire city, just through selected portions to advance redevelopment in the portions that we have.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
Well, the port is here, and the port is here to stay. That being said, Cape Canaveral's here, and Cape Canaveral's here to stay. It's a wonderful community. It's a small town. It's a residential community, and I really am in favor of keeping it a residential community. And I'll do everything I can to keep everything off of A1A, not being developed commercially. That being said, A1A is a corridor that is heavily traveled. The port has demanded, no, that's the wrong word. The port has created a situation whereby there's a lot of people traveling through our town as a result of that. We have investors that have expressed big interest in developing in our town. We shouldn't turn them away necessarily, but we should be able to control the types of businesses that come in here. We should make sure that we control, the city is in control of how the development takes place, and that's what I want to do.
Thank you. Mr. Supernath?
All right, so being a graphic designer, I do research for projects, top to bottom, in and out, demographics. I look at who's going to use the project, whatever it is, whatever the website's for, whatever the project is. I look at everything about it. And I'm not surprised that hotels want to come here, and I'm not surprised that gas stations want to come here. When I was at a meeting the other day, and they told me that 4.2 million people drive down that road. I mean, it makes sense that people want, since it's zoned, mostly mainly commercial, that they want to build these things. They want to make money. It's America, right? They want to have a business and they want to succeed. Everything up here that we've heard, listen to the port, talk to the port, don't let them run us. it makes sense, okay? None of us want anything other than that. None of us want to see Cape Canaveral change, right? It is heavily residential, but A1A is commercial. So it isn't illegal to want to bring a business here, but if you don't guide it, and if this, whoever gets voted doesn't guide it, then it ruins where we live. That's where I stand.
Thank you. Our next question, excuse me, we'll begin with Mr. Hogue. How do you feel about parking meters in Cape Canaveral on the beaches?
I don't support it.
Mr. Hogue. That's so sorry.
Parking meter issue was brought up a number of years ago, and I think there were a lot of misinformation sent out there. The parking meter issue will issue a permit to each and every resident in this city that they can park down there for free, just like Cocoa Beach has. What we're trying to do with that, and as you can tell from me, I do support parking, not meters, but parking kiosks, to where you just put a piece of paper in your windshield showing that you paid for that parking. I don't want a bunch of parking meters because that does detract. But I believe the kiosk would work. I believe that we looked at it and we could save, or we could make a couple $100,000 a year. That would go towards not only parking enforcement in areas that we don't have any good parking enforcement. They park all over the streets, the side streets. The condos complain about things. We'd be able to enforce that. If we have enough finances, I believe we can put some additional lifeguards on the beaches. We can clean up our parking ends. We can better our crossovers. There's a lot of things we can do with that funds. And these are all funds from people from Orlando that's coming over here for the day, spending the day, leaving their trash on the beach and going home. So I support the parking meters in that aspect because they will not cost our city a dime.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
I'm not totally for parking meters, but if we had to get parking meters, every resident in Cape Canaveral would not pay a dime. I see all the trash and all the issues. One of my neighbors works at the Cocoa Beach Pier, and all the issues they're having from people coming down from Orlando. If they're coming down, tearing up our beach, leaving trash in, they need to pay. They need to pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan?
It does bring in revenue, but apparently the feeling I'm getting out of the room is it's annoying. So if it's more annoying than it is the revenue that we generate, I need to listen to you guys, and I need to hear it. And I heard it pretty clearly that you sounds like you don't want it. So if you don't want it, it doesn't make sense to you. If we can't convince you that having a couple $100,000 extra a year is the way to go, if it's more annoying to you for that, that's fine. Then I won't support it if you guys don't want it.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
I agree with Buzz. I don't like parking meters, but I think kiosks are great. I do believe that we're going to have parking issues regardless of whether we have meters or not. On the weekends, particularly in season, we have people coming in from Orlando all the time, and they're parking at the beach. There's no question about it. So why can't we go ahead and make some money on that? So let's put in some kiosks and enforce the parking and make sure that the residents of the city of Cape Canaveral park for free, which, by the way, I think is different than Cocoa Beach. If I'm not mistaken, Cocoa Beach does charge their residents some money. And I think that the city of Cape Canaveral should make parking free to the residents. But we should take advantage of the transient traffic we have, and if they want to park at the beach, let them park at the beach, but let's charge them for it.
Thank you. Mr. Supranat?
All right, bear with me. So, hands up if you appreciate freedom. Come on. All right. So I asked a resident the other day this exact question: how do you feel on that? Parking and paying to park. And he's, first thing out of his mouth, that's taking away my freedom. Now, I'm going to tell you what was explained to me when I asked the councilman about this parking issue. Grandkids, real quick? Grandkids, couple of hands? A few. A few. So, what if that extra lifeguard that was paid for by that parking saved your grandchild? Was it worth it? All right? And if you didn't have to pay, was it worth it? All right? Now, I went to UCF, I had multiple cars, because I kept blowing them up, and I would get a hanging pass, because I'd have to borrow my dad's car or a friend's car to go to school, and that hanging pass goes from car to car. Now, my other argument from residents was, I have more than one car. I don't want to have to pay for one and get one for free. So what if we looked at a hanging pass that you could take from car to car? Or say your friends come in a van and they have all their kids, which happens to me, and then I have to take them to the beach. It goes in their car. They don't have to be a resident, but they're with me. So it's not just one sticker, one car, good luck, all right? You won't have to pay. I think that makes sense. I don't park at the beach, but there are times when I just want to run over and check the waves, okay? I don't want to pay $2 to do that, all right? But if it goes to the city, I think it makes sense to me. If it would save someone's life, it definitely makes sense to me. And if I didn't have to pay, as a resident, I think it just makes sense. So, I support it. Thank you.
Mr. Willis?
Well, I think Buzz and I had this discussion last year during the election. We can easily make sure that every resident of Cape Canaveral has that pass, no cost. You get the pass. You have a pass for your guests that are with you. We have all of this traffic coming from Orlando. If you've ever, I look out on my balcony and watch A1A on Saturday morning or Friday night, and it's just a stream of lights. It's coming. They're coming. They're leaving their trash on the beach. They're taking the parking spaces that we are trying to get when we go over there. So if they have to pay for them and we don't, it only is going to benefit us as residents of Cape Canaveral. And if there's no cost, you're already paying taxes, you're already spending your money here, why should you have to pay for a parking space? So residents of Cape Canaveral would be exempt from it. In that case, I don't see any. Thank you for keeping us on time. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the citizens of concerned citizens of Cape Canaveral for putting this on. I want to thank all of the gentlemen up here with me and appreciate your willingness to serve, and thank you for it. As I said earlier, my experience is with business. I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, own my own business. I've worked with multinational, national companies. I know how we get things done. I know how to adapt to changing issues, changing plans. It's nice to have a plan, but they don't always stick. You've got to keep moving on. You've got to be dynamic. And I want to bring a passion to the city. I want to bring the effort. I want to bring the desire to see Cape Canaveral prosper and grow as a city, not necessarily its footprint or whatever, but to be prosperous and all of us to have the things that we desire most in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Supernant.
All right, so we all have a lot of things in common, all of us up here. You guys have been hearing that same stuff kind of over and over and over and over and over. I'm really passionate about the area. I think that I don't know much about these guys besides what I'm really hearing tonight or what I've seen on their websites or their Facebooks. But you know, some of the things, you know, more about me. Obviously, I'm younger. My work ethic is fantastic. I'm resourceful. I'm really creative. I work with what I have. I like to work with as many people as possible. I'm into problem solving. I mean, this is what I want to do, and I want to stay here and I want to do it. So I hope you just keep an open mind and give me a chance to bring a creative and positive change to this table. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Price.
Well, once again, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. This turnout is just amazing, and it really offers a lot of encouragement to me, and I'm sure to the city council members and future mayor, that this city is worth working for, and that's what I'm here for. My experience as the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board, I think, speaks a lot about what I'm willing to do with the city. The experience that I have on the county with the Transportation Planning Organization indicates that I'm dedicated to working toward improving what we have, and that's my platform. The vision statement, once again, the vision statement that you see on the City of Cape Canaveral, that's my platform. That's what I work for, and that's what I believe in. And
Mr. McMillan.
I'd firstly like to thank you, as everybody else has done, but I'd also like to thank everybody up here who has chosen to put ourselves out there to run. You have some awesome candidates up here. Everybody's out to do their best. Now the question is, who is most appropriate to represent you? Who has the qualifications and the connections in order to get some of the community center? We need to have a heart to the community. We need to figure out how we're going to get that. I have several ideas that we can do that. I've expressed those this evening. We need to progress. We need to work with the cities of Cocoa Beach. We need to work with the port, the big gorilla in the room, which I have very intimate knowledge with, and I know everybody there. And I can work with them to help us, maybe even help us pay for some of the improvements in our community that were being affected through by them. Why should we have to pay for stuff to support the port if we don't get any benefit from it? That doesn't make any sense to me. The answers to that I don't know. I need to figure out. We need to do this together. We need to do the community outreach. I want to meet with everybody at least monthly to have a coffee and sit down and say, I'm going to be here at this place at this time. Come and meet with me. I need to hear from you. We need to do this together. Nobody can do this on their own. So some of the strong points that I have is my connections with the port, past military, Propeller Club president. We did really well with that. I was kind of thrown into that. I was told, do you want to be president next year? When I said I had a little bit of extra time, did really well with that. We tripled membership. We doubled our scholarship to people. There was some of the grandfather in the room here who has 3 kids that we gave, grandkids that we gave scholarships to through that thing. And also, I'd like to also remind you that you get to vote for 2 people. You can vote for 2. And BrendanMcMillan.com, and let's progress together.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
Well, how you all doing? The difference in me and other candidates, I think, is maybe I have black hair. That might be a little different. The difference in me and other candidates, they are all, I think, nice guys, very nice guys, but they're entrepreneurs. I'm a public servant. I've served the citizens of this great state for 35 years as a state trooper, as a teacher. I'm going to be there for you. When Katrina struck in September, I stopped everything that I was doing and headed to help the citizens of the great state of Mississippi. I worked long hours. I'm going to be there for you. I'm retired. You can reach me anytime. I'm there for you. Vote Mike Brown on November 3rd. Let's get a difference. Let's get something new, and I'm all for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Petzos.
These council members are all great choices, tough act to follow also. And I guess I do need to divulge that Josh is my older son, or older brother, I'm sorry. In all seriousness, Cape Canaveral has one of the most recognized names in the world because of the launches. We need to leverage that. I believe that we should get some additional engineering firms in here, research and development firms in here, let them use our post office box name, Cape Canaveral. I believe that it's a good draw, it's a good clean industry. These are engineers that, you have 15 engineer firms, people, engineers in that firm. They're all drawing about 100,000. It's good industry that we want in this city. We want them to live in our city. With that said, I guess I'm going to borrow a phrase from a well-known attorney in the Orlando area and also from one of the Cocoa Beach council members, and what I believe in, and that is I'm for the people and residents do matter. So I'm always available. My phone number is on the bottom of the brochures I handed out. Feel free to call me at any time with any concerns. I've always returned phone calls. I've always taken care of things. We've always got great volunteers I see a lot of people in the audience that are volunteers for all the volunteer projects we do when we're planting COs, when we're doing sea fence or sand fence projects, when we're planting mangroves on the riverside. We have a lot of volunteer projects that we do, and I'm hoping to continue on with them along with serving the city. So consider my vote Buzz, November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hogue.
Thank you. I did not mention one half of one of my questions was due to handicap. I don't know if anybody has. I do have something I'm implementing in the city and trying to get started. if you have a question, I'll be glad to talk to you after the thing about that. But, I'm just here to kind of run over things that I'm an infrastructure guy. I'm in construction, been in my own business 45 years right here at City of Cape Canaveral. I run my Hogue Electric company. It's a family operated business. I don't have anybody but family working for me. That way, it's easy to kick their butt if they're not doing right. I'm here to serve you people. That's all I want to do. That's all I've done. I've done things like manage little league teams in this city when we had just one baseball park over there. And I've grown with this city. I intend to stay here, and hopefully I can keep working. And I do have a lot of visions in my head. That's always, every day I'm running around trying to find something different to get going. But it takes money, takes taxes, and I'll try my best to keep them taxes down below that tax rate, which we're the only city at the Cape Canaveral to go below the rollback rate. And I personally asked our finance director and city manager, we can go below rollback, and we did. So the council, we heard it, it come before council, but before that meeting, I was in trying to punch the bag a little bit, and we got down, but not much, but we did get back. And you look in the newspapers, we're the only city in Brevard County that's below rollback, including the county. So I personally take credit, but I kind of was told at first we couldn't do it, but I thought they scratched the pen around a little bit more and found something we could do it. But, and again, my issues are business, a lot of clean business, see the city move forward, and I'm here to stay. So I'd like to keep on working. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, this concludes our forum for this evening. I want to thank the candidates for their time, and especially the audience for giving us your evening. Be sure to vote on November 3rd. If you're voting by mail, make sure it's in by the close of business day, November 3rd. Thank you again.